ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to part 2 of lesson 12. From today, we'll officially start using one new verb form from our conjugation table that we learned in advance in lesson 8, parts 3 and 4. So as usual, let's pull up the table and review the whole list first before talking about what that new form is. Here's the conjugation table of the past tense verb ذهب. He went. It starts from third person, then second, and first from right to left, and مذكر to مؤنث from top to bottom. Let's read them together. ذهب, ذهبا, ذهبوا. ذهبت, ذهبتا, ذهبنا. ذهبت, ذهبتما, ذهبتم. ذهبتِ, ذهبتما، ذهبتن. ذهبت, ذهبنا. Once again. ذهب, ذهبا, ذهبوا. ذهبت، ذهبتا، ذهبنا. ذهبت، ذهبتما، ذهبتم. ذهبتِ، ذهبتما، ذهبتن. ذهبت، ذهبنا. So far, we've been using 3 forms out of this list in our sentences, which were ذهب, he went, ذهبت, you went, and ذهبت, I went. Now we will learn ذهبت, she went. So it is a third person singular mu'annath form. So ذهب was he went, and now ذهبت is she went. Now we are ready to finish up the dialogue that we started reading in the last video, which was the conversation between a woman called SUAAD and a girl called AMEENA. We will continue from where we left off on page 64. SUAAD is asking, ألك أخت? Do you have a sister? آمنة لا ما لي أخت. No, I do not have a sister. Then SUAAD goes on to ask, ألك أخ? Do you have a brother? نعم لي أخ كبير وهو طالب بالجامعة. Yes, I have a big brother, and he is a student at the university. SUAAD ومن هذا الطفل الذي معك? And who's this child who is with you? آمنة هو ابن أخي. He is the son of my brother. SUAAD next asks about his name by saying ما اسمه? آمنة اسمه سعد. SUAAD أأمك في البيت الآن? Is your mother at home right now? آمنة لا ذهبت إلى المستشفى. No, she went to the hospital. So here ذهبت إلى المستشفى is a فعلية sentence because it is starting with the فعل ذهبت. In this conjugated form, we may be thinking the فعل part of it is ذهب and the فاعل is the last letter ta with sukun, but that's not the case. With ذهبت, we should say the فاعل is hidden, similar to ذهب. The last letter ta with sukun or sakin ta here is coming as the sign of femininity. In Arabic, we call this special ta, ta'ut ta'nith. This name is an idafa combination, by the way, meaning ta of feminization. So unless the fa'il is explicitly given after the verb ذهبت, we say the fa'il or the doer is hidden and it refers to hiya. Remember with ذهب, we used to say the fa'il is hidden and it refers to huwa. Now with ذهبت, we are saying the fa'il is hidden and it refers to hiya. But we can bring in the fa'il explicitly like in ذهبت زينب إلى المستشفى. In which case, we pick مرفوع اسم زينب to be the fa'il of ذهبت. But in the original sentence, ذهبت إلى المستشفى, the fa'il is hidden. If you are very interested to learn the Arabic term for hidden, it is called mustatir, written as mustatirun. So, with ذهبت, we can say al-fa'il mustatir, hidden, and refers to hiya in this case. That was the end of the main dialogue of the lesson. Now we will move on to exercise 1 starting at the bottom of page 64 and continuing to page 65. We should read and write this exercise and observe the usages of the new ضمير منفصل here and ضمير متصل key that we talked about in the last video. The first sentence is كيف حالك يا أبي? How are you, O my father? Notice here, because the question is directed to al-abu, the father, we are using the ضمير ka in حالك. What if we want to ask the same question to our mother? How do we ask, how are you, O mother? The answer is actually given in sentence 2, which is كيف حالك يا أمي? So with al-ummu, we should use the new ضمير متصل ki as in حالك. Part 3. This question is directed to Zainab because of the nida Ya Zainabu at the end of the question. So what do you think? Should it be أين ابنك or أين ابنك? It should be أين ابنك يا زينب? Where is your son, O Zainab? And the answer is ذهب إلى المسجد. He went to the masjid. Notice here in the answer, we are talking about Ibn Zainab, the son of Zainab. That is why the verb ذهب is being used, not ذهبت. As we talked about before, ذهب إلى المسجد is the فعلية sentence where the فعل is ذهب and the فاعل is مستتر or hidden, referring to هو. إلى المسجد is جار ومجرور. Part 4. This question is being asked to Amina. So we will use the feminine ضمير متصل and say أين بنتك يا آمنة? Where is your daughter, O Amina? ذهبت إلى المدرسة. She went to the school. ذهبت إلى المدرسة. The answer now is about bintu Amina, Amina's daughter. So we are using the verb ذهبت, which is a third person مؤنث singular verb. ذهبت إلى المدرسة. Part 5. لمن هذه الساعة الجميلة؟ أهي لك يا فاطمة؟ Whose is this beautiful watch? Is it yours, O Fatima? So laki is what we need to pay attention to here. We are saying laki, not laka, because we are asking Fatima. And the answer is نعم هي لي. Yes, it is mine. Why are we using the ضمير هي here? Because it is coming in place of الساعة, which is مؤنث, right? Part 6. How do we read this question? أهذا قلمك يا محمد? Is this your pen, O Muhammad? And the answer is لا هذا قلمك أنت. No, this is your pen. Notice here, ضمير منفصل أنت is coming for extra emphasis. هذا قلمك on its own would be sufficient to say this is your pen. But if you want to say no, this is your pen by adding extra emphasis on your part of it, we can simply add ضمير منفصل أنت after قلمك. So together the sentence will be لا هذا قلمك أنت. Let me give a couple of more examples here on the side to better understand this. هذه حقيبتي means this is my bag. But if you want to say this is my bag by adding more weight or emphasis to the ياء المتكلم in حقيبتي, we can bring in the corresponding first person singular منفصل ضمير and say هذه حقيبتي أنا. This is my bag. هذه حقيبتي أنا. If you show a notebook to a friend of yours and say هذا دفتر حامد, this is Hamid's notebook, and he expresses his doubt about it, and you want to insist on your statement that it is really Hamid's notebook, you could say هذا دفتره هو. This is his notebook. Okay, let's get back to the exercise. We are in part 7 now. تلك السيارة الجميلة التي خرجت الآن من المدرسة للمدير. We can translate the sentence as that beautiful car which came out of the school now belongs to the principal. So here we see that the مؤنث اسم موصول التي is being used because the اسم السيارة is مؤنث. We have already seen a few examples of اسمية sentences with اسم موصول and صلة الموصول before in lesson 9. The key was to identify both the اسم موصول and صلة الموصول and close them in the parentheses to identify the خبر. So we know that تلك is the مبتدا and السيارة is بدل for تلك. And what is الجميلة here? It is نعت, right? نعت for السيارة. How about التي? The اسم موصول التي is نعت number 2 for السيارة because التي together with its صلة is providing additional description for السيارة. And now we need to identify the صلة الموصول of التي. Remember, صلة الموصول can be either a sentence or a phrase like جار مجرور or ظرف مضاف إليه. In this case, it looks like the صلة الموصول is a فعلية sentence. خرجت الآن من المدرسة. Came out of the school now. Notice here the verb conjugation form خرجت is being used because it is referring to السيارة, which is a مؤنث اسم. In this فعلية sentence, خرجت is فعل, the فاعل is مستتر or hidden, and it refers to هي. الآن is ظرف الزمان, من المدرسة is جار ومجرور. Now we'll go ahead and put both اسم موصول التي and its صلة inside the parentheses, and what we have left is تلك السيارة الجميلة للمدير. So what is left for the خبر of the اسمية sentence then? للمدير, right? It is جار ومجرور, so we call it خبر شبه جملة. Moving on to part 8. أأنت مهندس يا أخي؟ لا أنا طبيب. Are you an engineer, oh my brother? No, I am a doctor. Part 9. Part 9 is very similar to part 8 except the question is for a female. That is why we see أنتِ, the مؤنث version of ضمير أنت is being used. أأنتِ طبيبة يا أختي؟ لا أنا مدرسة. Are you a doctor, oh my sister? No, I'm a teacher. That's the end of the exercise. Let's finish our video here also and continue going through the remainder of the exercises next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.